Hello. What is your name?
My name is Peter Jones.
How are you?
Yeah, doing pretty well. It's been a long week, but it's Friday afternoon, so getting better all the time. How are you?
I'm good. I was trying to find some information about you, but it was really hard.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I know that you grew up in Beverly Hills, is that right?
That's right.
What was it like growing up in Beverly Hills?
I mean, I guess I could say that, I guess I should be grateful that I was privileged to grow up in Beverly Hills, a city that the world looks at as, rich and famous and all that stuff. But it's kind of rough. I grew up on, the proverbial other side of the tracks. My family didn't have the money that people think of when they think of Beverly Hills. And I in the late 70s and early 80s, when I was becoming kind of a teenager and into high school, there were a lot of rich, preppy kids, and it was very cliquey, and if you didn't have, you weren't a part of the group, and there were parties that I would have liked to have been invited to that I wasn't, and there were girls that I would have liked to have dated, and, they weren't interested, and all that stuff. But at the same time, I'm fortunate to have a great family, and, was pretty comfortable doing what I was doing, which was mostly skateboarding and surfing and, going to concerts and going to school and kid stuff.
What was your relationship with skating? Did you skate a lot?
I skated a lot, yeah. I have an older brother, 5 years older than me, and he got me into skateboarding probably at 7 or 8 years old. And I don't think I was ever terribly talented, but I sure did it a lot. And, that was late 70s was the era of the first wave of skate parks, and we had some good skate parks, and our parents gave us a lot of freedom to go and do what we want. So we did a lot of skating. We skated empty swimming pools and ramps. Yeah.
What can you tell me about this photo? Is this an empty swimming pool?
That's an empty swimming pool. That was late in my skateboarding. I'd actually pretty much quit skateboarding by that time. I went to a friend's house in Beverly Hills after school, and he said, "Oh, there's an empty swimming pool, down the street." So I borrowed his skateboard and went down and took a few runs, and he happened to get that picture. He just sent that to me the other day.
So you moved to Bali in 2005, right?
Yeah.
Why?
I had an opportunity to come here. At the time, I was teaching yoga and doing massage, body work, and Reiki and some alternative stuff. And there's a resort in Indonesia called Nihiwatu in Sumba, and I was offered a job there managing their spa and teaching yoga. And it sounded like a great adventure, and I was a little bit not sure what I wanted to be doing in LA, so I thought I'd give it a year and see how it goes. And 17 years later, I'm still here.
Was surfing a big reason why you came here?
Definitely. Yeah, I had been here a few times before on surf trips, and always loved the culture, obviously loved the surf and everything, the food, the people. Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
What was Bali like when you first came here? Was it different?
It doesn't seem like that long ago, but
was there any differences?
I can tell you that I was living in Sumba when I came here, and I would work for 7 weeks on, and then 1 week off, and I'd come to Bali. Loosely 7 weeks on, 1 week off, and I think 2 or 3 trips in, I was staying in Seminyak, and a friend asked me if I wanted to go surf, and we went to go surf Canggu. And it was really difficult to find. There were just dirt roads and no real, markers. And now if you look at Canggu, it's massively, built, and it's the spot. It was kind of just cow fields, and this is 15 years ago, not too long ago. So quite built up. Yep.
15 years ago feels like a long time ago. I
wasn't your lifetime, but
yeah,
it's all perspective. That's true.
Mm-hmm. So this picture, you're standing in between two monks.
Yep.
What's the story behind that?
a good question. I did a yoga retreat. There's a guy in Sanur called Pakamerta, and he's an interesting guy. He's a manku, and when he was a child, he had polio, so he had trouble walking. And because he couldn't play football with the other kids or any of that stuff, one of the local priests in Sanur decided to take him under his wing, and he taught him to meditate. And the story goes that they used to go out to a little tiny island off of Nusa Lembongan for 40 days and 40 nights, and all they would do is meditate. And this is a little kid. This is a preteen. And if you go on a Sunday, he has a center called Bali Usada Meditasi. And if you go on a Sunday, there will be a line of people waiting to see him because he's supposed to have healing powers, and if you stand in front of him, he can tell you, he can kind of scan you and say, hey, you have a problem with your liver or your heart or your diet or whatever. And so he has a big following, and he does meditation retreats, and it's donation only, and it's 7 days of, kind of 12 hours a day of meditation. And I would do it again in a heartbeat if I had time. It's great experience.
Do you think you're happy?
I think in the big scheme of things, I'm happy. Yeah, I think that anybody living in this world with all of the stuff going on, who claims to be happy all the time, is probably full of shit. But I have a pretty optimistic view of the world. Yeah, I've been blessed with a really good sense of humor, and my outlook is quite positive. Yeah. I carry sadness. A lot of people close to me have died, and a lot of things that I wanted to happen haven't played out to my benefit, and all that kind of life stuff that lets us down. But, I think one of the nice things about getting older is you learn to roll with it gracefully and not get so knocked off balance when stuff that we don't want to happen happens. So, life is tragic and it's beautiful and it's a mix, but we can either see, somebody asked me when I was a little kid, do you see the world as a good place or a bad place? And I think that's the fundamental question, and I see the world as a good place.
Do you think money buys happiness?
Money can buy temporary happiness, but some of the most miserable, sad, unhappy, suicidal people I know have tons of money. So, all you have to do is go to the kampung in Bali and look at the kids who have very, very little and see the smile on their faces, and then go to Beverly Hills and look at the spoiled little kids and look at the not smiles on their faces and the misery in their faces, and it's pretty obvious, So I would say, in the big picture, money cannot buy happiness. As a matter of fact, money, I don't know that it's the root of all evil, but it creates a lot of problems. Yeah.
But the kids in Indonesia, the kids in the villages, you think they'd be happier with money?
It's a good question. It's kind of above my pay grade to even speculate on that. I think that they would appreciate it because it wasn't, given to them early in life. I think it's unfortunate that because of the media and, Western culture, that people have jealousy and feel like, if they don't have a shiny car or, a Rolex or a bank account or whatever, that they're not enough. I think all of us are struggling to be comfortable with ourselves and to have self-worth and self-esteem, and to have to compete with, ads that depict people with stuff that we probably can't attain in our lifetimes, looking much happier than we are. It's bullshit. Yeah. Some of the happiest times of my life have been with very little money, very little responsibility, doing what I want to do in nature.
So money's not important for happiness?
Practically, money is very important, and it depends, I suppose, on what kind of responsibility one has. If one is single without children, without a mortgage, and let's say, the game plan for the next 5 years is to see as much of the world as possible on a budget, you can get a lot done on very little money if that's what you want to do. And you can see a whole lot and probably have some great adventures and all that kind of stuff. I think one of the problems with money is when you have it, you're constantly looking over your shoulder trying to protect it and worried that somebody else is going to try to take it from you. You know, you become defensive when you have money, and you know you're worried about how can I insure what I have, as opposed to if you don't have it, no worries, I got nothing to protect, so I'm a little bit more free. Yeah.
So it just all depends on your perspective on like what you need. Because like someone without money, they could be like struggling, always thinking about making money too, right?
100%. There's a massive portion of the population that are able-bodied, ambitious, willing to work, motivated, that just don't have opportunity to make more than enough to, you know, have a couple of bowls of rice and maybe a little fish and, you know, a modest roof over their head kind of a thing. But I think it becomes almost a Zen thing. You know, it's easy for me to say because I come from Beverly Hills and, you know, we didn't have a lot, but I'm pretty spoiled relative to most of the world. I think a lot of the world looks outside for fulfillment and for happiness, and stuff on the outside costs money. We all have the opportunity to look inside for fulfillment and happiness, and that doesn't really cost anything. You know, we can get quiet and sit in nature and go inside of ourselves, and I think that there's riches there that are much greater than, you know, having a Ferrari in the driveway and a Rolex.
Did you grow up religious?
No, my parents were very anti-religion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you think religion is dying now?
No. I think people are desperately looking for something to help them make sense of what's going on. And there's plenty of religions, there's plenty of cults, there's plenty of, you know, supposed prophets that would be happy to lead you to whatever they think they have to show you. I don't know that religion is dying. I think that there's always going to be some formal paradigm for seeking something greater than us. You know, it might turn into the religion of the ancient aliens or the religion of some bizarre, you know, shamanistic plant or some, you know, something that 50 years ago would have seemed really out there, but no. But, you know, I think the big three, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, are going strong as ever.
You think those religions are still as strong as in the past?
Yeah. You asked me that like you disagree.
I think they're dying.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot less. There's a lot more atheists, I think. But I don't know. I wasn't alive back then. But like from what I see.
You're probably better informed than I am. You know, I'm probably out of touch. I've been in Bali for 17 years and not really paying attention to world religions, so I don't know. But I'm convinced that people have an inherent thirst for something bigger than ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.